Today's April 4, 2018, and there's a lot of people out there who want you to be afraid. They want you to fear the forces that appear to control this realm. They want you to fear for the future. And I think in a lot of cases, they're not nefarious intentionally. They're not trying to make you afraid because they want to see you in harm. They want you to be afraid because they're afraid. And so they feel as though if they can get you to be afraid as well, then they'll be in good company. And misery loves company. What I want to do in this short video is explain to you that perhaps once you understand media fakery and synchronicity and a few other things to do with the way that this realm operates, once you understand these things, you'll see there is absolutely no reason to be afraid whatsoever. Not afraid of the past, not afraid of the future, and not afraid of the present, the gift, the time that we have right now. On your screen is the album cover from a Supertramp album, Breakfast in America. You've got the title Supertramp, and touching the U and the P are the Twin Towers. And of course, if you were to reverse this image, you would see a blatant 9 and an 11. The lady who is posing as a Statue of Liberty is holding a glass of orange juice around about where the planes supposedly hit the towers on 9/11. She has a weird expression on her face as though she knows something that you don't know. And of course, the perspective that you're looking at her from is through the window of a plane. You're looking at her through a plane window. And you don't need to be a genius to deduce that there are a whole bunch of coincidences here that seem to be foreshadowing or forecasting or predicting what we would later see on our TV screens on 9/11. This is a collage I put together again about a year ago, looking at some of the coincidences between Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey and the event that we call 9/11, and the computer that we call Deep Blue, the first computer to defeat a human, a grand chess master, in a game of chess. Just quickly, you've got the black monolith, and there was a building called the Millennium Hilton, which was there right in front of the Twin Towers on the day that they fell. This is called the Millennium Hilton. It still stands to this day at 55 Church Street, and it was there overlooking the event that we call 9/11. You can see it there, you can see it here, and you can see it here. It looks just like the monolith from Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. Funnily enough, in the film there was a Hilton Hotel, Space Station 5. Again, the Millennium Hilton is at 55 Church Street, and the computer that defeated the chess master Garry Kasparov in a game of chess was called Deep Blue. It also looks a little bit like a black monolith, and of course, if you've seen the film 2001: A Space Odyssey, what the computer did just before it went and tried to kill the humans was defeat one of them in a game of chess, and that is just the tip of the iceberg with the coincidences. We'll come back to those in a moment. Planet of the Apes, the original Planet of the Apes, was released in 1968, and of course the story is about a protagonist who believes that he is on a different world, he's in a different realm, but all along he was on Earth, he was in New York, and the Statue of Liberty is used as almost like a motif to tell him that this is where he is. So the Statue of Liberty plays a key role in the narrative of the film, even though we only see it towards the end. What a lot of people don't realize is that Planet of the Apes was released in the United States in the very same year as 2001: A Space Odyssey, but not just the same year, the same month, and the same day. Yes, on the 3rd of April 1968, both Planet of the Apes, which is all about super intelligent monkeys, and a world that seems different but is the same, That film was released on the same day as 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is all about the progression of man, beginning with a scene with monkeys released the same day, the same month, the same year in 1968. Here's one you're probably not familiar with. The film Deluge was released in 1933. It also featured the Statue of Liberty. In fact, it was the first feature-length film, according to some accounts, to feature the Statue of Liberty in key shots. And in the film, it is supposed to be the end of times, an apocalypse, an apocalyptic setting. Again, it was released in 1933. And of course, many people will try to tell you that we are in the end times and that things are bad and getting worse. What I want to suggest to you is that we are in the apocalypse in the sense that this is the unveiling. Apocalypse simply means, etymologically speaking, the unveiling, the revealing of the truth, the lifting of the veil, the time when the truth is coming to the fore. So I'm suggesting to you that perhaps we are in the apocalypse, but not in a bad time. Things aren't bad and getting worse. No. I don't believe that at all. I'll explain more in a minute. At the start of the film Deluge, there is a Bible passage. That Bible passage is Genesis 9:11. And from the King James Version of the Bible, Genesis 9:11 states, "And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth." Whether or not you think the Bible is thousands of years old, and I do not, and whether or not you think the Bible is the Word of God, and I do not, any sane, intelligent, objective person can see that there is value in trying to understand some of what that book says, whether that is in an exoteric sense or in an esoteric sense. In this case, Genesis 9:11 is talking about how there will not be a flood to destroy the earth. There is nothing to fear. Putting some of this together then, anybody who has seen the album cover of Breakfast in America by Supertramp, which was released in the 1970s, and has half a brain at least and can think for themselves, will notice that there are far too many coincidences to write them off as coincidences, with the centerpiece being this Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty, of course, is a key part of the narrative of Planet of the Apes and an icon of New York, and is featured in the film Deluge, which opens with Genesis 9:11. Of course, Planet of the Apes was released on the very same day as 2001: A Space Odyssey, which also features monkeys, primates, becoming more intelligent when they touch the monolith. When they touch the monolith, they become intelligent and they progress. And what I'm going to suggest to you is that to understand 9/11 is to touch the monolith, metaphorically speaking, to begin to understand, to begin to ascend. And I believe that once you do that, if you can put aside your ego, which most people cannot, you'll begin a process whereby you'll begin to shed the fear, you begin to shed all the negativity, you'll begin to ascend above all of that. Let me repeat what I said at the beginning of this video. Many people do not want you to do that, and I'm not saying that this is because they are nefarious necessarily. They themselves, in many cases, I believe, are simply negative people who want your company. They want you down at their level, worrying about the future, worrying about the past, and not realizing this great gift that you have, the present. They want you to stay with them. And you get to decide if you're going to stay with them. You get to decide if you're going to lead your life in fear, in anger, in bitterness, in regret, in resent. You get to decide, which is why I do not believe the people in charge of the made-for-TV movie 9/11 are bad people. No. They're giving you, and they're giving me, and they're giving all of us a choice. And most of us will choose to ignore what's right before us. 9/11, nobody died, nobody got hurt. Those are the facts of the matter. It was a ritual. It was an occult ritual. Most people will not have eyes to see, and so instead they'll believe that a boogeyman called Osama bin Laden is out to get them. Or they will believe that the government kills their own people, and the government is out to get them. Or they will believe that the truth movement is going to save the world from Anderson Cooper and Alex Jones and all this kind of nonsense. That is what most people will believe. But if you have watched this video to this point, then perhaps you have eyes to see. Perhaps you are willing to ascend. Perhaps your ego does not control your actions and your beliefs. Perhaps you are ready to ascend. And if that is the case, I have something I would like to share with you. This time last year, I released a video entitled, "What Does Coincidence Mean to You?" where I explore this concept of the so-called coincidences between 2001: A Space Odyssey and the event that we call 9/11, and the deep blue defeat of Garry Kasparov in the 1990s. I also released a video on this day 1 calendar year ago, going into further detail about the coincidences or the synchronicities between 2001: A Space Odyssey, Planet of the Apes, and many other things. They're no longer available on YouTube, but they are available on my website for free to part members. They're about 15 minutes each, so it's about half an hour. A lot of time and effort went into them, and I feel like I've come a long way since then, but going back and watching them today, I realized that even 12 months ago, I had begun this process of shedding the fear, shedding the negativity, and no longer feeling like a victim, which is what people in the so-called truth movement want you to do. They want you to feel like a victim just like they do. Excuses for not progressing and advancing as humans, as beings, as spirits. I encourage you to access both of these videos, as I said, available for free to part membership, which is free, information in the info box below. I'd also like to encourage you to join the mailing list of johnlebon.com, which you can find by going to the About section and then going to mailing list. Put your details in there, and within 24 hours, I'll be sending out a video, again, completely for free, which will not just talk about some of these so-called coincidences, but explain in greater detail why I believe that right now we are in the apocalypse and there is absolutely nothing to fear. Finally, I'd like you to consider the lyrics of the track Crime of the Century, released by Supertramp, the same band who released the album cover that we saw earlier from Breakfast in America. Now they're planning the crime of the century. Well, what will it be? And of course, many people consider the events of 9/11 to be the crime of the century. Read all about their schemes and adventuring. It's well worth a fee. And of course, many people want to hear about boogeymen and disasters. Those are the kinds of tales that they pay money to go and see at the cinemas. So roll up and see, and they rape the universe, how they've gone from bad to worse. Who are these men of lust, greed, and glory? Rip off the masks and let's see. But that's not right. Oh no, what's the story? But there's you and there's me. That can't be right. Most people cannot accept that there is goodness and badness to this realm. There is goodness and badness within all of us. If you cannot accept that maybe your preconceived notions might be incorrect, then forget you ever saw this video and forget checking the info box below. We'll leave it there today on the 4th of April 2018, and until next time, you guys take care of yourselves.